7 Days of Wisdom, Aquaus Kelley, Saturday, November 23rd, 2019. I am here at New Brunswick High School for Ed Camp 2019, and it always feels good to be in an environment amongst people, amongst educators who are looking to expand and further their knowledge and intellectual palette, as I like to say. And I wanted to make the time to shoot this video because there are a lot of things that were discussed and addressed inside and outside of education that I feel for me have been continuous themes that I will share my thoughts on, as well as continue to build and share thoughts on. And one of those topics was the topic of microaggressions. And when I attended the workshop and the talk on microaggressions, which was led by good colleagues and friends of mine, Lisa and Hope, they spoke about the different kinds of microaggressions that take place that we may or may not even be aware of. And until we really sit back and listen to the experiences of other people around us, people who, have different experiences across different cultures. There are a lot of things that we take for granted, and we just don't know that we take it for granted until we have the conversations with people who aren't fortunate enough to have what we have. And it's so vast that unless we are really mindful and make the time to reflect and learn about the things that we have that others might not have, and vice versa, it's difficult to have that sense of compassion and empathy for humanity, essentially. So every time I listen to a talk, or maybe I'm given a talk, I always want to take a holistic approach from a humanitarian perspective. And while being in that session about microaggressions, I also thought of the microaggressions that exist within policy. I mean, think about it. The laws that are written that marginalize certain groups of people. I'm sure there are policies and ways of doing the things that are done where, in a way, microaggressions are written into that, similar to having a trademark or a copyright, where in regards to the structure of some of the policies that we have, they need to be rewritten because there's discrimination that exists inside of those policies. So that was a big takeaway from me in regards to microaggressions and microaggressive behavior, and how that exists within literature and policy, I would say, would be the best word. So that's one thing that I will continue to reflect on, is microaggressive policy and how we can go about change within that domain. In addition to that, I have a bunch of notes here and stuff that I wrote down. In addition to that, there was something that another good friend and colleague of mine said, Nadine, where she mentioned creating environments that increase cognitive functioning. So as you can see, I'm in a classroom right now, and I've always felt that our classrooms should be places that are inviting and very much inspiring. And I'll be the first to tell you, the classroom that I currently have, it's not really where I want it to be. However, I haven't quite found where I want it to be. And for me, I don't just do things to do things. Everything I do has to have a meaning and purpose behind it. So being that I'm in my third year, I am starting to implement more things and become more clear of my educational philosophy. And that helps to craft the things that are displayed in my room. And it gives everything that's displayed in the room a sense of significance. So that's one thing I wanted to touch on as well, just creating environments that help to increase cognitive functioning on behalf of us as teachers, on behalf of our students. Another thing that always comes to mind is being that my background is in media, communication. I'm big on just business. And a lot of events that I attend at, for example, like a Facebook or Instagram HQ in the city, are very inviting. Like the atmosphere is dope. They have music playing, and like, how are we setting the tone as educators? How are we setting the tone in our classroom? And for me, again, like, my classroom may not be the most decorative. However, the tone and the feeling and the vibe is that of support, encouragement, and community. So that's one thing I do feel I am improving and getting better at in regards to setting the tone within the classroom. So moving on to what I would like to address next is the last workshop that I attended, and it was about building out our professional learning network. And one thing that I thought about in regards to building our PLN is education has no boundaries. Me personally, I'm not limiting my network to a district, a state, a nation, a region. I want to expand as much as I possibly can expand. I want to learn from various industries. I want to learn from industries that may not even exist yet. And I feel as educators, we're in a very unique position to place ourselves at the center of learning. So when we think of industry, there's training, learning. There are a bunch of resources that are continuously used for professionals to enhance their craft. So as educators, being that we should position ourselves at the center of learning, we have leverage in regards to building out a permeating PLN, a permeating professional learning network, where we can tap into professionals in any industry and say, hey, would you mind speaking to my class? Or hey, would you mind coming to the school? Or hey, how can our students help you? Or hey, how can our students intern at your company? That's the community I'm looking to build. And as educators, I feel that we can do that, whether or not we feel we can do that or it's a lot of work, but let's not limit ourselves. There's boundless potential, and our role as educators is essential to the development. I mean, let's think about it. It's essential to the development of industry. Again, as an educator, our role is essential to the development of industry. We can think of any industry, any job. The people who are occupying those jobs had teachers somewhere down the line. Even if they were homeschooled, someone was teaching them. So when we think about education and teaching and learning, there's no limit. no boundaries, no boundaries. So I feel that's essential for us as educators to really play into that role and know that we we have a role centered around learning, inside and outside of the classroom, inside and outside of the school building, inside and outside of public schooling and education. All right? So I feel that's essential. And that pretty much sums everything up in regards to just my thoughts here at, again, EdCamp New Jersey 2019. It's always a pleasure to be here. It's my third year here, and I'm looking forward to coming back again next year, and hopefully I'll have something that really hits the heart that I want to speak on and present on. And lastly, just to throw it out there, my focus this year, I believe, is starting to become more centered around partnership. How can we, as schools and educators, better partner with our students and communities to create, and parents, students, parents, and communities, to create a immersive learning experience? So again, let me position it like this. How can we as educators, as schools, as systems, as districts, better partner with our communities, students, and parents to craft and design a user-centered educational experience? So that's the question I want to leave everyone with. And as I pose that question to everyone, I will continue to reflect on that as well. And I'm looking forward to building on that question. Just building a solid learning community and partnering with our communities, our constituents, our students, our parents, those who we are here to serve. So with that being said, Aquaus Kelley, 7 Days of Wisdom, A Lover's Ambition. Peace.